Hey fellow artists, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Noah Martinson, and today I will show you how to paint some easy watercolor poppies. I'm using Daniel Smith watercolors, the primaries and secondary colors, but you can use whatever you'd like, or if you want to, you can just watch and enjoy the painting process. So to start off my painting today, I'm just going to waking up my paints first. When your watercolors are dried out on your palette like this, you can just spritz it a few times with a spray to waken them up, and then you can just start painting. Pretty easy. So to start off with our poppies, I'm going to dip into our red and kind of bring it over here, put a little more water into it, and then bring it over here, and then start sketching out the shapes that we want. So maybe start off, just drop in one over here. And when you start out light like this, you can build up your layers. And the important thing with watercolors is we need to remember that you start light and then you work dark, which is much different than other mediums such as acrylic and oil, where you start with your darkest value, then you work to your lightest value. And the reason why that is because the reason why we do that is because watercolors are a transparent medium, and so when you lay down lighter tones, they're not going to show up over your darker tones because it's transparent. So I'm just going to continue making these shapes here, and keep in mind which brush you're using. I'm using number 1 liner brush for this, but you could use pretty much any brush for this. And you just kind of start sketching out your shape and then filling it in with that same color, and then once it's all dry, we'll start layering up in different colors. So once you have those shapes ready and all done, we're going to wait for those to dry. But while we're waiting for them to dry, we can actually begin by grabbing our green and mixing it with just a little bit of red. And red is green's complement color, so it neutralizes our green color. And so once we get a lot of that in there, we kind of add in, I don't know, a little bit of blue, makes it a little bit darker, and then a little bit more yellow to make it lighter. There we go. And then a little bit of water, and then we can go over and start making the buds of this plant, or its seeds. I don't know the anatomy very well. They're just kind of these round little shapes. Just make them really quickly. They're kind of like ovals or spheres, if you think of them that way. Just kind of make little circular motions wherever you think they should live within here. Then, I don't know, another one right here. once you have that, then I think it should be dry enough now that we could go in and with a darker, more vibrant layer on these poppy petals. Now when you want a darker color, you actually just use less water, and you can mix other colors in like purple or blue to make it a little bit darker or a little bit more on the blue side or the purple side or even on the orange side. It's just whatever you want to make it. So now I have this color, and just gonna get that on my paintbrush and come over here and decide where I want the shadows to be. So maybe over here. Oops, that little water droplet got in the way. That's okay, we can work with it. Let's see here. And I think the hardest part of this step is just remembering not to cover completely all of your lights, because you want those lights to stay there. Now sometimes you can, you know, just cover them up a little bit. And that's okay. It doesn't make a huge big difference. But other times, if you just kill them all the way and you won't continue to, it's hard to bring those lights back. That's the problem. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to that. It's pretty easy once you figure it out. I think the hardest part for me was just learning when to stop adding color, because I thought, oh, you know, more color here, more color there, and then next thing I knew, uh-oh, all my lights disappeared. That's kind of, took me quite a few different paintings, but even this was pretty easy for you guys to follow along and understand. I'm just gonna make my purple a little bit, my red a little bit darker, adding some purple to it, some orange, a little bit of blue. Just mix it all nice and good there. Sometimes your lights can also be too light, and that's actually, in my opinion, a good problem to have, because those you can fix so much easier than if your dark's too dark, or you've covered up with your lights. This, you can just easily over everything. It's really just pretty much straight on. And it's actually nice when you've done it like this, because when you sketch it out first and then you go over, because look, I can save that highlight on the petal, or if I want to cover it up just completely, then I don't have to worry about, oh, if I made the wrong shape or not, because you can also fix your shape in this moment when you're going over your highlights. Just a little bit, because that's the shape that's already established. So now that you have it all ready to go for the next step, I'm gonna go back into my green, this time using less water, so it's more true to its color. And I'm going to start, you know, making shades for the buds. Just kind of go around, remembering to reserve my highlights. Remember where the light source is coming from, and you can just pick a spot where it's coming from and make all the shadows the opposite direction and keep the highlights in that same direction. You can cover up some of them too if you'd like. And I'm going to use that same color and create all the different stems of these plants. So I think I'll start with the flowers. Just kind of go down like this. They're wildflowers. They got lots of curves in them. Kind of dance, however you'd like it. They can cross each other and all sorts of stuff. And then you can keep adding highlights and, not highlights, shadows to the plants. I'm going to use some purple down at the bottom here and just kind of outline it a little bit more, give it more depth. Because really when you're building up depth, it's just making shadows and pushing your highlights into the back and pulling, pushing and pulling. It's almost like sculpting, but two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional. And my paper's still wet when I'm doing this, so the wet paper underneath catches it and just spreads it so it kind of looks a little more fuzzy. And if you want to, you can add some grass at the bottom. What I do with this is I take my green, mix in a little bit of blue, a little bit of red, kind of quite a bit of yellow, just mix it all nice and good together. And I go down to the bottom and just kind of make impressions of grass. Here, there, a little bit everywhere. Oops, I forgot this guy's stem. Just like that. And then just keep doing that. All over at the bottom. Then grab some more green, make it a little bit darker, some purple, some blue. And I got some darker greens. Even mix blue and yellow together. And I got some blues in there. You can kind of just do however you'd like. Make upward strokes. If you make these quick upward strokes, it looks more like blades of grass. Then you can just, you know, keep adding more to your poppies, or you can call it done if you'd like. But yeah, that's just kind of how you make some simple poppies. They're a little bit simpler than the last ones that I showed you in my other video, but hope you enjoy. If you like this, please comment, like, subscribe, and push that bell notification so you never miss any of my next videos. Until next time, see ya.